Imagine waking up in a place where the jungle does not sit quietly in the distance, but closes in around you from every side. A place where the air feels alive, where the trees do not just stand still, but seem to breathe, where the soundscape is never empty because somewhere above you, monkeys are calling through the canopy, birds are cutting through the sky in flashes of impossible color, and hidden waterfalls are thundering through the forest like they have been there forever. A place where sunrise spills over volcanic peaks wrapped in mist, where clouds drift through mountain forests so high they feel suspended between heaven and earth, and where the coastline can transform before your eyes from dark dramatic shores shaped by fire to bright tropical beaches glowing in shades of turquoise and gold. Now imagine that all of this exists in one small country. This is Costa Rica. And here is the question that makes this place even more interesting. Could Costa Rica actually be better than Hawaii? At first, that sounds almost ridiculous. Hawaii is iconic. It is one of the most famous tropical destinations in the world. Its beaches, volcanoes, waterfalls, and lush landscapes have shaped the way many people imagine paradise itself. But Costa Rica has something that makes the comparison impossible to ignore. It offers that same sense of tropical wonder, that same mix of ocean, jungle, mountains, and dramatic scenery, but with a personality that feels wilder, more untamed, and in many ways more immersive. Welcome back to Traveling Heavens, where today we are exploring one of the most biodiverse, visually stunning, and unforgettable destinations on Earth. A place that feels less like a single country and more like an entire continent folded into one compact piece of paradise. Costa Rica is not just somewhere you visit, it is somewhere you feel. It is not simply a beach destination, and that is exactly why it leaves such a strong impression on the people who go there. One moment you are walking through a cloud forest high above the world, surrounded by drifting mist and hanging bridges. A few hours later, you are standing on a black sand beach created by ancient volcanic forces, watching the Pacific shimmer under the evening light. In between, you might pass waterfalls, jungle trails, wildlife reserves, surf towns, and hot springs hidden beneath dense green canopy. That is what makes Costa Rica so special. The variety is not a side feature here, it is the experience itself. You are not forced to choose between adventure and relaxation. You are not choosing between jungle or ocean, mountains or beach, wildlife or comfort. In Costa Rica, all of those worlds exist side by side, often close enough that you can experience them all in the same trip, sometimes even in the same day. And to understand why this country captures people so deeply, you have to start with the one thing that defines it more than anything else: its nature. Costa Rica takes conservation seriously in a way that you immediately feel the second you arrive. Nearly a quarter of the country is protected land, and that fact is not just impressive on paper. You can feel it in the atmosphere. This is the kind of place where the natural world is not hidden behind fences and viewing platforms. It surrounds you constantly. Howler monkeys call through the trees with a sound so deep and strange that the first time you hear it, it barely sounds real. Sloths cling motionless to branches above you, nearly invisible unless you know where to look. Bright toucans and parrots flash between the leaves. Butterflies drift through the trails. Lizards bask in the heat. Every corner feels like it has something watching, moving, growing, or flying just out of sight. And nowhere does that feeling hit harder than in places like Manuel Antonio. Manuel Antonio feels almost too perfect to be real. It is one of those rare places where rainforest and ocean do not just meet, they blend together so seamlessly that the whole scene feels designed for a movie. You have white sand beaches edged by dense jungle, warm turquoise water, and wildlife so close that it completely changes the experience of being there. You are not just lying on a beach staring at the horizon. You are in a living ecosystem. It is entirely possible to be relaxing in the sand and suddenly notice monkeys climbing through the trees only a few meters away, or a sloth hanging above a trail on your way back from the water. That is the kind of place Costa Rica is. Beautiful, yes, but also constantly alive. Move inland and the country transforms again. In La Fortuna, the landscape becomes more dramatic, more powerful, more elemental. Everything here revolves around the presence of Arenal volcano, a massive, almost impossibly symmetrical peak that rises from the earth with a quiet intensity. It dominates the skyline in a way that makes everything around it feel cinematic. The roads, the jungle, the trails, the waterfalls, even the hot springs, all seem to exist in the shadow of something ancient and immense. The surrounding area is full of experiences that make you feel pulled deeper into the landscape. Waterfalls plunge into pools hidden in thick forest. Natural hot springs bubble up from the earth, surrounded by tropical plants and drifting steam. Trails lead into dense greenery, where every turn feels like the beginning of another discovery. The views here do not just look beautiful, they feel epic. Then there is Monteverde, and once again, Costa Rica changes character completely. If La Fortuna feels dramatic, Monteverde feels mystical. High in the mountains, the air cools. The jungle becomes quieter, softer, more dreamlike. Clouds drift through the forest itself, wrapping the trees in silver mist and turning the entire landscape into something almost unreal. This is not the bright tropical jungle most people imagine. It is something stranger and more magical. Moss covers branches. Moisture hangs in the air. The silence feels deeper. The atmosphere is so unique that walking through it feels less like a hike and more like stepping into another dimension. The hanging bridges here are one of the best ways to experience that feeling. Suspended high above the forest floor, they give you a view across the canopy that makes you feel like you are floating through the clouds. From that height, you begin to understand just how layered and vast these forests really are. But Costa Rica is not only powerful because of what it looks like, it is powerful because of what it lets you do. This is one of the best destinations in the world for adventure, and not in an artificial, overly manufactured way. The adventure here feels tied directly to the landscape itself. It feels natural, organic, almost inevitable. Zip-lining through the rainforest canopy is one of the clearest examples of that. In many places, zip-lining feels like a tourist activity added on top of a destination. In Costa Rica, it feels like an extension of the jungle. You are flying over treetops, rushing through mist and sunlight, crossing valleys and forests in a way that makes you feel fully inside the environment rather than just looking at it. Surfing is another huge part of the experience, especially along the Pacific coast. Whether you are a total beginner or someone who has been chasing waves for years, Costa Rica offers a coastline full of surf towns, warm water, and breaks for every level. There is something incredibly satisfying about spending the morning in the jungle and the afternoon in the ocean, then ending the day with sunset over the Pacific. It is the kind of rhythm that makes ordinary life feel very far away. And if hiking is what draws you in, Costa Rica gives you endless reasons to keep going. There are trails that lead to hidden waterfalls, volcanic craters, jungle viewpoints, and isolated corners of the country where you feel completely alone with nature. The variety matters here too. One day, your trail might wind through humid rainforests surrounded by birds and monkeys. The next, you are hiking through volcanic terrain with panoramic views stretching across valleys and lakes. And for those who want something slower, the country offers that just as naturally. After a day of exploring, there is something unforgettable about sinking into natural hot springs while the jungle hums around you. Steam rises into the cool air. The forest sounds grow softer as evening settles in. It is not just relaxing. It feels primal, elemental, deeply connected to the landscape itself. Then, of course, there are the beaches. And this is where the comparison to Hawaii starts to become much more serious. Costa Rica's coastline is incredibly diverse, and that diversity is one of its greatest strengths. On the Pacific side, you find long stretches of golden sand, rugged cliffs, dramatic waves, and some of the most beautiful sunsets you will ever see. The light here is often extraordinary, especially in the late afternoon when the sky begins to burn with orange, pink, and gold. Places like Tamarindo and Santa Teresa capture a very specific kind of magic. They have that laid-back, sun-soaked atmosphere that so many travelers chase, but without feeling lifeless or overly polished. There is a strong surf culture, a slower pace, and a natural beauty that does not need to announce itself loudly. Everything feels relaxed, warm, and open. Then you go to the Caribbean side, and once again, Costa Rica feels like a different world. The water becomes calmer, clearer, and even more vibrant in color. The beaches feel softer, more tropical in the classic postcard sense, with palm trees leaning toward the sand and lush greenery pushing close to the shoreline. But it is not just the look that changes. The atmosphere changes too. The culture shifts. The energy feels more colorful, more rhythmic, more influenced by Caribbean traditions and identity. Puerto Viejo is one of the best examples of this. It has a personality that feels distinct from the Pacific coast in almost every way. The mood is slower, freer, more expressive. It is one of those places where the environment and the local culture combine to create something memorable that goes beyond scenery alone. And this is where Costa Rica gains a major advantage over somewhere like Hawaii. In Hawaii, each island has its own identity, and that is part of the appeal. But to experience those different identities, you often need to move between islands, which usually means more planning, more logistics, and more flights. In Costa Rica, that same kind of dramatic variation exists within one country. It can feel like you are moving between different worlds without ever leaving the mainland. Jungle, volcano, surf town, cloud forest, Caribbean coast, luxury retreat, wildlife reserve. All of it exists in a space compact enough to make the journey feel manageable, but varied enough to make every transition feel exciting. And then there is the wildlife, which is where Costa Rica truly sets itself apart. This is not a destination where nature stays neatly in the background. Here, nature steps into the frame constantly. Sea turtles come ashore to nest on protected beaches. Dolphins move through the water just offshore. Toucans cut across the sky overhead. Frogs cling to leaves in colors that seem unreal. Monkeys swing through the trees near roads, beaches, and trails. In Costa Rica, wildlife is not some rare bonus you are lucky to spot once. It is woven into the entire experience. That constant closeness creates something powerful. You do not feel like you are merely observing nature from a safe, distant viewpoint. You feel inside it, like you have stepped directly into a documentary. Except this time, the humidity is real, the sounds are real, and the moment belongs to you. When it comes to where to stay, Costa Rica offers a wide range of experiences, but what makes its luxury scene stand out is how deeply it connects comfort with the natural world. This is not the kind of destination where luxury always means towering resorts and polished distance from the landscape. In Costa Rica, some of the most extraordinary stays are designed to make you feel closer to the environment, not separated from it. That is what makes the experience feel so memorable. On the Pacific coast, the Peninsula Papagayo region is home to some of the country's most refined beachfront luxury. Andaz Costa Rica Resort at Peninsula Papagayo offers an eco-luxury atmosphere with access to beaches, a beach club, golf, and forest and ocean surroundings that feel immersive rather than overly formal. Nearby, Four Seasons Resort Peninsula Papagayo delivers a more polished five-star experience, perched above the Pacific with a strong focus on nature, relaxation, dining, spa experiences, and adventure. Both properties capture a side of Costa Rica that feels exclusive without losing the sense of place. Further inland near Arenal, luxury takes on a completely different mood. The Springs Resort and Spa is all about dramatic volcano views, expansive hot springs, and a grand, experience-driven setting that feels almost cinematic in scale. It is the kind of place where the scenery itself becomes part of the stay, with terraces and pools positioned to make the most of the landscape. Nayara Tented Camp, on the other hand, offers a more intimate and distinctive kind of luxury, with upscale tented accommodations overlooking the rainforest and Arenal volcano, blending adventure, privacy, and a strong sense of immersion in nature. What makes all of these places so special is that they reflect Costa Rica's version of luxury. It is not just about elegance. It is about waking up to the sounds of the forest, looking out over volcanic peaks or the Pacific Ocean, and feeling like the destination itself is part of your room. That balance of comfort, privacy, and raw natural beauty is one of the reasons Costa Rica can feel so unforgettable. Costa Rica also shines when it comes to eco-lodges, which are a huge part of the country's identity. These stays are often smaller, more secluded, and built to blend into the surrounding landscape rather than dominate it. Getting there is also relatively simple, especially from North America. With direct flights into San Jose or Liberia, Costa Rica is surprisingly accessible for a destination that feels this wild and this visually rich. And once you arrive, traveling through the country is easier than many people expect. The distances are not enormous, but the landscape changes so dramatically from region to region that every drive feels like a journey into somewhere completely new. That matters, because part of what makes Costa Rica unforgettable is the sense of movement through contrast. You are always transitioning, from coast to mountain, from volcano to beach, from humid rainforest to cool cloud forest. It gives the entire trip a feeling of momentum, as if the country keeps revealing a new version of itself every time you think you understand it. So, is it better than Hawaii? That depends entirely on what kind of paradise you are looking for. Hawaii offers a more polished, more developed experience. It has iconic scenery, strong infrastructure, and a level of accessibility and familiarity that makes it incredibly appealing. There is a reason it remains one of the world's most beloved destinations. But Costa Rica offers something different. It feels wilder, rawer, more immersive, more alive. It is less about standing back and admiring beauty from a distance, and more about stepping directly into it. It is about waking up to the sound of the jungle, chasing waterfalls through dense rainforest, crossing cloud forests in the mountains, soaking in hot springs beneath volcanic peaks, and ending the day on a beach where the sky catches fire over the ocean. If that is the kind of experience you want, if you want a destination that feels layered, untamed, and deeply connected to the natural world, then Costa Rica is not just a substitute for Hawaii. It may actually be the better choice. And once you see it for yourself, once you feel that air, hear those forests, and watch the country shift from one breathtaking landscape to the next, you will understand why this small nation has become one of the most unforgettable destinations on Earth. This has been Traveling Heavens. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next heaven.